Hello! We're live on location. My name's Todd Sullivan, and that is Kelsey Bell. And we are in Williams Lake. We drove down today to hang out with some very special people here at the Williams Lake Studio Theater. I'm going to hand the microphone down this panel of people, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about what they're doing on the show, and then we'll start having a chat with these fine people.
Excellent, thank you. Hello, my name's Helena Morgan. I play Pool the Butler and one of the Hydes and much more.
My name is Troy Weston, and I play another one of the Hydes and also Dr. Lanyon, Jekyll's best friend.
I'm Elaine Sager. I'm one of the producers of this show, and I wrote the history of Jekyll and Hyde for the program.
I'm Tannis Armstrong. I'm the director of the play.
I'm Taryn Owen, and I play Elizabeth.
You know, I'm Kelsey.
You're allowed to hang on to the microphone and ask some questions.
Oh, I don't have any prepared.
Okay. So I guess to the first thought I have is we have multiple Hydes, which is interesting, and also Elizabeth, which is not a Hyde, but I don't know who Elizabeth is either. So let's start there with a little bit about who Elizabeth is.
So Elizabeth is the love interest of one of the Hydes, and a catalyst in a bit of it, without giving anything away. So, yeah. You got anything on that one?
Do you want more on Elizabeth or do you want more on all the Hydes?
Well, so I guess I'm not too familiar with the overall story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I know sort of the basic concept that, he's a doctor, it's in the name. He like drinks a potion or something akin to that and releases like a dark inner self. That's kind of the extent of the story that I know. Does somebody want to maybe give a basic overview of maybe because you wrote the history, does somebody want to give an overall sort of explanation of the rough synopsis of the story?
Of this story or the original?
Well, I would love to know, and it's interesting you say that.
Because I know both.
I would love to know sort of the original story and then maybe how this deviates from it, or like where does this version take that story?
Okay. So the original version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, it's actually all from Dr. Utterson, or Utterson's view, not Doctor, he's a lawyer. It's all from Utterson's point of view, it's his diary. And the whole novella is based on him being the narrator. And he is Jekyll's lawyer. So he kind of oversees everything. Jekyll's original experiment comes from wanting to separate the good from the evil of a man in order to be able to like reincorporate criminals back into society is kind of like the idea behind it. Elizabeth is actually not a character that's in the original novella. She doesn't exist. This is something that the screenwriter actually added to it. It's not uncommon to have a love interest added to different variations of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde that we've seen over the years, but this one does have Elizabeth as a love interest. The difference is that the idea is that Jekyll turns into Hyde when he has the potion, and throughout the novella he starts to lose control, and Hyde comes out without drinking the potion. And he needs to drink a potion in order to turn back into Jekyll. And it just slowly spirals out of control is how like the original novella works. With this one, it's still Jekyll turns into Hyde, but what the screenwriter Jeffrey Hatcher has done is he's made it so that instead of Jekyll physically changing on stage, Hyde is played by other actors. And yeah, it's played by other actors. So Jekyll in this version only plays Jekyll, the actor. He doesn't play any other characters. Elizabeth only plays Elizabeth. No other characters. Play your little sister, but other than that. And then all the Hydes, so the 4 other Hydes, play all of the other characters in the play, and they all play Hyde. And at a couple points in the play, Jekyll and all of the Hydes are on stage at the same time. So we get to kind of see the voices inside of Jekyll's head and stuff, which is kind of cool. Elaine has more on like the history of Jekyll and Hyde and how like it moved around and stuff like that, and she has way more knowledge than I can even.
Well, let's hear some of that
So
then,
it's
yeah.
totally-
Okay, well, this was kind of fun for me because I didn't get to take the university course I wanted to take this last semester, so I had a chance to research and write, which was good for me. Jekyll and Hyde was published in 1886. It's never been called The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He wrote it as Strange Case of. So for one publication, somebody like myself corrected the grammar, but that was wrong. So it's a gothic horror novella written in the Victorian era, and the other type of genre that came out later in the Victorian era was sensation fiction. So both wanted to thrill and titillate audiences. Their subjects were different. So the gothic horror was often there'd be supernatural elements and really fearful things, and things that go bump in the night, versus the sensation fiction. It was a commentary on Victorian society, and it was also titillating people because the Victorians were very upright and proper. So one of the allegories in Jekyll and Hyde can be argued is the contrast between the aristocratic people in Victorian society who lived in lovely homes and hid their secrets within the house, or when they were doing bad things, went out their back door. So a couple of the pieces on the set here actually have back doors facilitated, I'm sure, for the actors to leave by, but it fits in with the original. And of course, the working class and poor people lived in the really crappy areas of town where all the bad things tended to happen. And so that's one of the contrasting things.
Right.
It was popular immediately. It went into production within a year in Boston and in London, but the London production had to shut down after 10 days because that was during the time of Jack the Ripper. And the hysteria of the Victorian people led them to point fingers at the director and the actor
Really?
in the play, because they thought that might be Jack the Ripper. And subsequently, a lot of adaptations have included sort of a Jack the Ripper theme for Jekyll.
Interesting.
It's kind of a tale as old as time, right? When like a lot of violent things happen, a lot of when a lot of violent things occur, it tends to be a lot of art and artists that typically get blamed for like such things like in Satanic Panic. There was like metal and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Metal music was blamed. It was like all this stuff is happening because your kids are listening to like Metallica and all that stuff. So it's fascinating that type of thing has just existed as long as, like, I guess popular culture has existed, which is as long as we have existed, really. So
Yeah. I think sometimes too you have like art and artists will try to filter these sort of things that's happening in the world through their art too.
Yeah.
So you have
Precisely.
the responses to, Jack the Ripper is going on. How do I create something that helps me make sense of what's going on in the world? I think the idea of having multiple Hydes is really interesting, and I'm curious whether or not does the play do anything interesting with that, as far as like this Hyde is this type of person, that Hyde is this type of person. Does anyone want to speak to that?
Do you want to, Charlie?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the way that it's written, it could have been interpreted in a couple of different ways from like the director, the cast, etc. The way that like our director has led us to interpret it is to have kind of 4 different personalities of the Hyde. So they all have different kind of aspects of evil, but they're kind of all the different aspects of evil. So no 2 Hydes are very similar. We're all very different from one another.
So what makes your Hyde unique?
So I'm kind of the murderous Hyde.
Okay.
I get to do the murders on stage. There's a couple different ones, and I get to carry the body that's sitting behind you, and I'm kind of the one that does the stuff that
heavy
no one
lifting.
else really wants to do. Yeah, the heavy lifting. So it's
Heavy lifting.
I'll let you talk about your Hyde if you want.
Sure. Well, my Hyde number 4 in the script, is more of the like slinky and seductressy type of Hyde.
Okay.
Because I am the one. I'm one that makes a connection with Elizabeth. I'm one of the Hydes that does that, and then yeah, like that's just kind of my thing. I'm just kind of off in the background, just trying to be not demure, but like like a cat, like a sexy cat, so something like that, right? Like a little more like as you were saying in Victorian times, like I'm a little underdressed, as one would say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You can definitely see my shoulders.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And possibly your ankles.
Strumpet is what one would call me.
Ankles is
So.
a normal thing to see in Victorian times, actually.
Should we talk about the other 2 guys, or
I would love to.
Yes. Yeah, do Matt, Helena,
well,
and then Troy can do.
Well, what Matt's like really like a really like hopeless romantic kind of Hyde. Like he's the one that has like the main connection with Elizabeth, and yeah, he's just very like just screamy, temper tantrumy, like
He has the most
passionate, angry. He's
got lots of passion.
That's yeah.
Lots of like.
Passion can come out in anger and
Yeah,
in.
very
That's true.
angry.
There's
lot
a
of rage.
thin line.
Rageful Hyde. Yes,
Yeah.
very ragey. And
He's
then,
more hands-on.
Oh, and Cullen's very growly.
She's like the fixer though, because she's the one that pays people off.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's
She's
what
the
makes sense, 'cause
brains.
She's the lawyer of the.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
she's
then
the brains of the
also
bunch.
yeah, that makes sense because she does make the things go. She does make the.
She rewrites Jekyll's will.
Oil. Yeah. She's the oil in the thingy, the machine. Yeah.
Are all of the Hydes played by women?
No.
Okay. Well, is it?
So originally the cast was set for having 4 males and 2 women. 4 males being Hyde 1, 2, 3, and Jekyll, and then the 2 women was Elizabeth and Hyde 4. And it did specifically say that Hyde 4 they wanted to be a woman, and that's Helena's Hyde. I think they did that because Hyde 4 also plays the prostitute that gets murdered, and she's supposed to be mistaken for Elizabeth. So, but when I read the script, I really read it in such a way that like there's no like super anything that defines gender. So when we cast it, I just said, I'm just looking for people that would like to try acting. At one point, I even entertained that Elizabeth may actually be a man. And I thought that it could be quite possible for Jekyll to be gay or to be, or for Jekyll to be a woman. And so, but I just really picked the actors that really just gelled together in auditions. And it turned out that I had 3 female Hydes and 1 male Hyde, a male Jekyll and a female Elizabeth. One thing that I did add is that all of my stage crew do actually come onto stage, and they are all dressed as Hyde as well. They're just non-speaking Hydes. So
Is that during that moment where you talk about having all the Hydes on stage?
yeah, exactly. And it's only written in there for like twice. It's only written twice that all of the Hydes are supposed to be on stage with Jekyll, but I've added it in more places just because it felt right. And I feel like I let my actors like say, hey, can I try this? And I'm like, yeah, sure, give a shit. And I let them just kind of like experiment with it, and it worked really well and stuff. And so we kept it in, and we managed to get one of our stage crew that doesn't like being on stage, which is great.
Totally,
He's
yeah.
our voyeur.
Yeah, that's what we kind of called them and stuff. So yeah.
I guess further to that, first of all, I just love the idea of having like, even beyond like the 4 primary Hydes on stage, it gives you this almost a feel of like, there's depth to this madness that we've only just barely seen. With the 4 Hydes. There's far more.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious with the way it's cast as like the 3 women and the 1 man. Once it was cast, that makeup of the Hydes, did you find yourself able to sort of lean into the genders and sort of like push this particular Hyde to be more, I don't know, feminine, or to be less feminine, or to be like, or was it just, did the actors just play it as written? Did you play with the genders at all in the performances? If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. When the actors played the other characters other than Hyde, I told them to maintain the gender that was on the script, is what I did. And then when it came to Hyde's, I really just let them experiment with how they felt their character would evolve. And so like Troy, as much as Troy is more of the like killer murderous Hyde, she also definitely embodies like a childlike little girl as well. Helena, I would definitely say, is probably on the they them spectrum and female spectrum more, is how Helena's played it and stuff. But Matt, I think, maintains a male Hyde. Llewellyn also goes for more male side of Hyde as well. Because Llewellyn, I think, goes for a more male side of Hyde and whatnot. And then I kind of designed the costumes around that and stuff. So yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think that like one really nice thing about this, and like tennis has made it a thing, like being gender, like casting gender blind, it doesn't really matter. And like I think anyone watching could watch like my Hyde, Helena's Hyde, any of the Hydes really, and be like, there's no specific gender that that person is supposed to be. It's just a monster or but yeah, there's no, because I don't think my character would change really at all if it was played by a guy, because he would just be like a little boy instead of a little girl.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
It's only a little girl because I'm a girl, so, or I present female. But
Yeah, I mean, monsters can come in all shapes and sizes and genders. And I also think, given just the way the world is now, as people are grappling more and more with their gender identities and stuff, it's interesting to see, maybe not intentionally, but even so, a character who, when broken down into smaller parts, has all of these different genders within them, right?
Yeah.
Just out of personal curiosity, what was the date of the original novella and then the date of this adaptation of it, if anyone happens to know that?
The original novella was issued in 1886. That was its first publishing. Within 9 years, I think, 250,000 copies had been sold in the United States, so it sold really well. But as I mentioned before, within a year, it was in production in theaters in 2 countries.
But was that this version of it? No.
Not this version.
Yeah.
No.
I think I could be wrong. Does anyone have a script?
I do in the back.
Chloe, go get your mom's script.
Until then, let's hear some best guesses about what it might
I
be.
think it's
I'll
2009.
2009.
2009.
I think
Okay, so it's pretty
2009
recent.
was when it was. I think.
I don't really have a guess, but this just kind of it like becomes, there's like a lot of talk in the script about how back in maybe 1886 the theory was it's like very bifurcated is the word that Utterson uses, and it's like dark and light, whereas this one kind of like the very two extremes, where this has the Hydes and they're all like all the shades of gray, maybe in between as well. And so I feel like it's got that kind of modern spin by saying it's not right or wrong. There's a lot of different sides of it, and they maybe found it.
2008 is the copyright date on the script, so I would say that was probably written like 2000, probably sometime in 2007, and actually printed in 2008.
So that is probably some modern sensibilities going into the adapting of it for sure.
Well, yeah, and like they keep modern language within the play. They don't keep like the old English and stuff like that, so it's definitely more modern language. And I think that also helps relate to a more modern audience as well. While still, there's a few like archaic terms in there, but not very many.
Like bifurcated.
So there are a few, but they do definitely kind of blend.
Do you have a glossary in the program for like the older words?
Absolutely not.
No.
Should be able to get it from context.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think Elaine probably would know more.
Well, one of the things that I didn't put in my write-up because it was already too long for the program.
That was a common.
I'm imagining this in a long history.
Oh, there was so much stuff and it was so interesting. But there is a homosexual element to it
Oh, okay.
that scholars have talked about. And one of the things is the back door. Was part of the production of that, and that Jekyll might have been a homosexual, may have been, but again, that's just another case of duality, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
The hidden homosexual at that time, because it was against the law to be a
Right.
homosexual, versus the persona of the educated doctor that he had to present to the Victorian people.
That's an interesting interpretation for sure.
Yeah. I have a question finally. Is it important to make all the Hydes somewhat relatable? Because there's so many different versions. Is it important that he's relatable in a way?
I think that probably an audience member could probably identify with a few of like the thought processes behind each of the Hydes. Like the original thing that your Hyde does, I actually find is more sweet than evil. The dead body actually, so a little bit of.
Yeah, I was going to ask anyway. Like, we've got a lovely co-star here. Maybe we could talk a little bit about why this corpse is.
This is actually
It's
right
hanging
at
out
the
of
top of the play. Actually, it's like scene 3. Actually, but a doctor comes out and he's teaching some students about this, like basically going over this woman that has died. Now, the woman that's died, he says is a prostitute, and he really like demeans her and puts her down, and saying that a dog ripped her throat open and stuff like that. And then Jekyll comes out and proves the doctor wrong. And it's like, no, I think that these wounds are from a cobble pick, not from that. And like he demeans like how her brain has shrunk, and and how her brain is small, and that's because she's a woman. Well, Jekyll's like, no, it's shrunk because she's been dehydrated for 3 days, and stuff. So he just kind of goes and disproves her completely. And then the Sir Danvers, the doctor that is being rude, wants to dissect her the next day. But why do we need to dissect her, right? Like she's been raped and murdered. Why do we need to do that? And so I think personally that your Hyde actually steals the body for the to like
I agree.
protect the woman and from being like ripped apart by this, like raped again essentially and stuff. So I feel like there's a little bit of good in every single one of the Hydes. They're not evil in my brain.
No.
And stuff, which is why like it's too bifurcated. Like there is no just wholly good and wholly evil and stuff. Does anyone else want to talk on that? No?
For me as an audience member, I think it's important to find good qualities even in the bad guys, and, and bad qualities in the good guys, because all bad is boring and all good is a little boring too. I think you need that character arc to make it worth watching. That's all.
Yeah, we definitely talk about that amongst like the actors and stuff too. Like to just sit on a park bench and just like to sit back. That's boring. We don't want to see that. There has to be something, right? So, or else like even if someone's like lounging on a lounge chair on the beach, there's still something obviously, or else we wouldn't just put them on the stage just lying on the beach. Like that doesn't make sense, right? So there has to be some tension, and so we talked a lot about that while we're acting. And so, and the same thing with the actors, they definitely, like you're right, they have to have that arc, and we talk a lot about like what's your arc, what changes about you and your character and stuff throughout the play.
So each character has their own arc. Each Hyde has their own arc.
I would say a little bit for sure, yeah. I think it's definitely pushed on more by Jekyll.
Yeah.
I think Jekyll definitely probably has like the biggest arc. Even Elizabeth has a really good arc as well. Like they all do, or else it wouldn't be a great play, which I think it is. So, personally.
Yeah.
Speaking about the play and sort of you know, what was it that? So did you go seeking a Dr. Jekyll and Hyde adaptation because you were interested in the story, or did you read this for whatever reason and then decide you wanted to do it? How did you come to this story and wanting to tell it?
Well, I'm going to do a shameless plug to my dad. When I was about 9, my dad was like looking for something to watch on the TV, and he came across PBS's version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with David Hasselhoff. It was the musical that Broadway put on. It's phenomenal, and it has one of the hardest songs to sing on Broadway, like classified as the hardest song. And that was my first intro to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, is I sat down and I watched this with a bowl of popcorn. We all watched it as a family, and I was like, this is so cool. And then I kind of like went away from my brain and stuff. I'm not a classics reader. I have a hard time reading them, but I love the classics, but I have a hard time reading them, so I always look for something else to get me to be able to do it. And then I was just like, I like Jekyll and Hyde. And during COVID, I had actually decided to write a radio play of A Christmas Carol, so that we could put it on via Zoom. And we did it so I found the novella, and I know A Christmas Carol really well because it's my dad's favorite Christmas movie. He owns every single copy of it, and watches every single one every Christmas.
What's your dad's name? Can we say hi to him?
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
My dad's name's Blaine Dom, and he really loves A Christmas Carol, for sure. So I wrote that specifically for Michael Rollick to have him cast as Scrooge, so he could have his 60 plays in 60 seasons, in 60 years, or else he wouldn't have got that, which was kind of awesome. But that made me go, I could do that with Jekyll and Hyde. And so I was just like, to my friend, I said, do you want to help me write a play? And she's like, why don't you read this one first? And she gave it to me. I'm like, never mind, I can't do that good. Let's do this one. And it kind of was ADHD hyper-focused spiral to just getting it on stage now. Yeah, that's definitely.
What was it about this particular? Was there anything about this particular version of it that like grabbed you over just your basic story of it?
I think it's actually all of the different Hydes. Also, like the play itself is written for a black box set, where it's just the whole stage is black. There's nothing else but that and a door. That's how it was written, and then the door moves around and spins and stuff like that. It even explodes, which is kind of fun. And so, because it had such little description and because I'm such a visual reader, I was able to plug in all of my imagination and just build it myself without any description of what's going on.
Yeah, because this is very much not a black box.
Absolutely not whatsoever. It's not a minimalist set at all. And my brain plugged in, like, as I was reading it, it just became more and more steampunk and more like I could see the set just like evolving, in my brain as I was reading it, which is how my brain works. So.
I really am so excited to talk about just how much of a multi-talented artist you are. I'm sure all of you are multi-talented, but as like you're sewing right now, that you're the director.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do two things so far, but you also make this person. You're a prop maker. You're a prop master.
Well, not the master. No.
You did set deck.
Set decorate. I helped.
Look at this. What was the first prop you built, or what was the first thing? What was the first thing you found in the dumpster?
That's what Kelsey really wants to know.
I know your style.
So it actually how the creative process started was obviously my brain, and then my biggest challenge with my brain is getting the picture
prioritizing it.
Getting the picture that's in my head out and in front of me and being able to see it. So I've always, again, because of my dad, I've always been a drawer. He always had a drawing set and stuff, and so I always sneak into his set and, sorry Dad, and sneak his good pencils and pens and stuff like that, and then start sketching and stuff. And so I immediately went to my kit and started sketching out what I thought the set would look like. And then I came up with this crazy idea of these, we call them pods, and they completely open up, and there's a whole new room inside and stuff. And so that kind of came second, and then I thought of the costumes, because I'm actually a seamstress. That's my day job, is I sew for a living.
Oh, okay.
And stuff. And so then the costume design developed out of that as well. Although I had a very dark academia design in my head for the costumes, but I knew I wanted it steampunk, but I couldn't envision that. So I actually have to give a shout out to Kendall Anderson. She took all of my basic costume like design and she just like punched it into steampunk, like can you hold that? So this is actually Jekyll's jacket that I'm working on. I just gotta hold my thing. So I made the base part of the jacket and then she steampunked it out.
I love that.
So, and it's well made, like it's heavy.
Yeah, I did try to make it into like with actual like I've always wanted to make a suit, so this was kind of an excuse. So she like did all of like this work. I just like literally put the pieces together and was like, okay, here you go, steampunk it. And then she gave it back to me. And now what I'm doing is I'm actually sewing the lining in right now so that you can get it on and off, or else it's kind of sticky. You can't do that and stuff. So and I really love historical fashion. So that's my hobby outside of theater is historical fashion. So
But it all plays. It
does help.
Together.
So like I was inspired by the 1886 like time and stuff, which was the bustle period and stuff. So Elizabeth, as much as she hates me, has a big butt and bustles.
Yeah, it adds an extra foot.
Yeah,
a whole other foot. I have people that have to help me make sure the curtain is closed because of how much extra space I need.
Own it, girlfriend.
Yeah.
There's
But I actually
been a little bit of dancing on
used
stage.
I used historical patterns and stuff where they take extant garments and then they turn them into patterns to actually sew from and stuff. So I used that for Elizabeth's costume. I used that for Jekyll's costume. All of the corsets are also made from like 1880s. It works. The corset works from 1860 to 1890 before we started going into the spoon busk and stuff. So this corset.
Because mine's just right there.
Yeah, you can if you want.
Yeah.
Although hers is like I took a historical corset pattern and then I transformed it into an underbust corset because it just fit her character more.
Right.
And then I took the traditional corset and I turned for Troy. Hers is actually a vest. So this is another one.
Denim?
Oh yeah. So that's the other thing is I have a passion for like recycling things. So and I have a girlfriend that her name's Merla Monroe and she used to make hats and stuff out of old suits and
I didn't listen already.
Oh my
out of
god.
old suits. So then she made patchwork fabric for me, and then I took the patchwork fabric and I turned it into corsets, and then I took the corsets and I gave them to Kendall Anderson, and then she steampunked them and painted them and do all sorts of fun things. All of the jewelry and chain work is all
That's great.
like costume
Can I-
jewelry.
Can I do a...
Yeah, let's just bring it up.
Yeah, go
for it. Have you moved the camera.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you do that.
How's that look?
Why don't you just put it on? Do it. Give us a show.
It's kind of tight right now.
I don't
Yeah,
think
it hasn't been
loosened.
loosened.
Yeah, it hasn't been loosened.
I don't want to wear it.
And like
I really have to.
so this is my like soapbox that I will die on. Corsets are not meant to be painful. If they're painful, then they're being worn wrong. Modern corsets modern corsets are painful because the panels are literally rectangles, and so you're relying on the yank in order to create the shape. Opposed to these, I don't know if you can see with Helena's the
Do you want me to
bottom.
read mine?
Yeah,
Or
hers.
Chloe?
Yep. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hers probably shows
Chloe
the
is one
best
of
because
our
the bottom
ladies.
flares out
Nice.
so much compared to the actual waist, so it really allows the hips to expand and stuff like that. And the tightness is all underneath the ribs.
Right.
So if you get a proper corset, they don't hurt.
Todd's been wearing his corsets wrong this whole time.
I know. I had no idea.
You've been complaining about
I
tummy
have.
aches.
Yeah, and that's why probably.
It's on your...
It's supposed to feel
Yeah.
like a warm
Yeah,
hug.
I got it.
It does not.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
Yeah. I use also synthetic whalebone on all the corsets.
Synthetic,
So that-
sorry?
Synthetic whalebone. It mimics what would have actually been used, which is actually baleen, whale baleen in there. And baleen, once you warm it up, will actually form to the shape of the person. So the synthetic whaleboning has also done that. It has a natural curve here,
Huh.
and you can see how wide it is on the bottom.
Right, because that's what the hips sculpt.
Exactly. So
It never lays flat.
yeah. Taryn says that it's actually more comfortable the tighter it is than the
Yeah.
looser it is.
Mine is as tight as
Because
it
it'll
can go.
like rub and like.
No, it's so if it's loose, it slips up, and then all of a sudden there is pieces digging into spots you don't want it.
Ah.
So like I've had it dig in here, it digs into my hips. It just doesn't feel as secure. When it is
Right.
tight, I can bend over. I can do most things to a
Right.
certain extent.
Putting on shoes is hard.
Is it almost
That
like a table at that point?
You put your food here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would know.
There is. I feel bad for
So-
one stage manager walks in as I'm fixing my corset every time.
However,
don't feel
though,
bad.
on
I
like
do.
someone that would be more on the slender side in Victorian ages, they actually padded out to get the shape that they wanted, opposed to. And there's like garments that still exist.
You mean they would wear the corset and then pad on over to
Yeah.
on
Yeah, to get the right shape, to get that 10-inch waist. It's actually just
they would build around.
exactly. They would build the hips out and then like the stuff. You gotta move
But
this
oh.
way. You're out of
Thank
frame.
you. Sorry.
But yeah, they would just they would put in busted groovers and hip and groovers and stuff. Sorry,
Mhm.
this is my tangent. You gave it to someone. You
She's,
gave it to
she's
someone.
taught me a lot.
It's just so interesting because this is over 100 years ago and it's still true to this day. And now we have the Kardashians taking over and with her Skims or whatever you call it, and it's the same thing. We all want little. Yeah,
It's an illusion.
It's an illusion.
It really is. I saw a 100-year-old wedding dress that has been worn by every single member of the family, like every single one.
Really?
Yeah, it's
That's
been
cool.
worn for over 100 years. I think it was like 25 different weddings or something
Wow.
like that. And you see the original photo, and the waist looks like this big, and the last photo, it's not. But it's not. It looks like just like a regular thing. And the difference is that probably the original wearer had hip pads to push out the bottom to make the waist look really small. The only thing that like it's usually said, and I have some documents from like old magazines and stuff that say like the ideal weight measurements are that your bust and your hips should be 10 inches larger than your waist. There's no ideal waist size. It's just you should pad
Yeah.
out to get to that.
That proportion.
Exactly.
Proportionizer.
Yeah, and then that's what creates the illusion of the really tiny waists,
Right.
right? And we are not shaped any different than we were then.
No.
We're still the same shapes that we are now. So, and that's, I think they relied on the outfits to fit, like they made the outfits fit them, opposed to now we try to like change our bodies to shape, to fit the outfits that we wear now, so it's more body positive in my opinion.
I can see that, yeah.
Right? Because your body is like your own, and so you only know what it looks like because you have made the shape that you want people to see, and so it can stay private and to yourself, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, totally.
And even though she said you see your ankles, Victorians, you did see their ankles all the time because you didn't want your skirts to be on the floor because then they got dirty because of mud. So
And-
actually, skirts should come only to your ankles, and your petticoats usually to your mid-calf.
Huh.
Huh. I didn't.
I'm a nerd.
Was the plague a part of this play at all? Is that in the same? No, I
No.
need to go back to school.
Not 40 years before, give or take.
Oh,
A little bit.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. the-
About 1820, 1920, and 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
Avoid 20s for the plague.
Actually, it's literally a thing.
Yeah.
They were. It was expected to have it come around 100. It's
Yeah,
about
I
every
heard
100
the
years.
Spanish flu, and then
It's every 100 years. There's usually some sort of like. It's not just enough time for us to forget what it was like.
Right, yeah, exactly.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's that whole those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it thing.
Yeah.
Of plagues. I don't think I've ever thought as much about corsets as I have in the last few minutes, and I'm very pleased to be here.
They're a lot of fun.
I'm sure they are. They look great.
I would love to. I'm just.
men
gonna
can
say
wear
this.
them too.
I'm sure they
I
can.
would love
I'm not saying
to
they
see
shouldn't.
the men in this. I would have loved. I'm sorry.
It was very
If they were-
common.
If they had corsets, I would have loved seeing our men in corsets.
Why?
Just
For eye candy or what?
yes, a little bit of that. But it would have. That was my like one thing. I'm like, I wish. I love their costumes. They are like this. The first time I saw this on Jekyll, I might have stopped for a second. And went, that looks really good.
It's like stop eating hot.
It was really good. But I've seen a lot of like men corseted, and I was like, it's a whole thing, and to show that to people that aren't used to seeing that type of a thing would have been really cool.
Well, adjust their posture too, right?
My posture has changed when I'm
It's
not
so much
wearing
better.
this. My
Oh, it's
posture
better
has
now?
changed. Oh yeah, so much better. I'm not doing
Oh.
this as often, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Straighten
But,
your
yeah.
spine right out.
Actually, in the Edwardian period, men did wear them. They were girdles.
Right.
Yes.
Same thing. It's basically an undervest corset, and they were
Interesting.
girdles. Yeah.
Girdles.
This is coming home with me after. For reasons.
Well, I mean, who gets something like that and doesn't want to take it home?
It's also custom made for me.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
well-made.
Yeah.
It's not Spirit Halloween or Walmart. Oh yeah, I don't have a blah blah blah. Can you even hear me?
It might.
You might.
Yeah.
I really. I have nothing.
Now that she gets the mic, she won't have anything
Well,
to
now
say.
I have nothing to say. But what was the most challenging as far as like props, costumes, or set deck? What was the most challenging thing to make or create? Was there?
The pods.
What was?
I'd say the canes.
Oh, the
The canes, as I'm looking at my husband in the audience holding one right now.
How many
Can we see it? Can I take?
We only broke 3.
No, I think almost.
Five.
It's been almost every one of you has
This was hard
had
to
one
make.
break.
So the canes actually were 3D printed by Joey Nordic.
Oh, wow.
Did I say his name right? So the top of the cane is 3D printed, and then the medical seal is actually like laser cut on his laser cut machine. So he designed them and he made them and stuff. But because they're 3D printed, 3D printing can be really weak. So we experienced very early on that we can bust them. Sorry, Joey.
This is
Sorry,
plastic.
Joey.
It's just
I
plastic.
would love to actually
Yeah,
have a full
yeah,
kind
you
of
should
comment
talk
about
about
this.
The reason that they break so easily, not
Oh,
because
this one is broken too, I guess.
well,
Is that-
that's the thing is that we have to be able to break it on stage.
Oh,
and so
okay.
we want to break it here, but not here. So it's like a very specific way that we have to hold them, and also not this one, but one of the other, all of the other canes. This actually pulls out, and there's a knife hidden. And so, well, it's just it's so like it's not. I don't think it breaks because it's 3D printed, but it breaks because there's so many things that we have to do with them and maneuver them in specific ways. And there's like 7 of them total on the like in the play, and so if we're not careful, it'll break here instead of here where we want it to.
We
She
know
breaks
this.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, you break it? You're the one responsible
do.
for it? Okay.
Because you're the mean one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then I use
I'm
it to
getting
murder somebody. So.
Mean.
Oh, okay. The broken one, not the knife.
Nope, not the knife. The broken cane. I don't take out the knife though for that. I carve your body with the knife, but I don't believe
That's probably better use for a knife anyway.
so
I want to go back to sort of. Or do you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you do too, I'll forget mine. So
Yeah.
I better go. So I have a makeup background, and I want to know how is the process for this? Is it are you guys pretty natural face? I mean, plain. Not you. Yeah, you
No.
were glamorous. Did you ever have a professional makeup artist that would do the look and then would teach you how to do the look for the show itself, or you're done with me talking?
No,
Go, answer.
my brain thinks ahead. It's just the way my
I
brain
get it.
works.
I get you.
So actually, Sienna O'Connor is our makeup artist backstage, and she's also she did the face of the body there. She made the head for us and the bloody neck. So
Yeah.
she's actually a Blanche McDonald graduated makeup artist and stuff. So when I found that out, she was helping with A Few Good Men. I was just like, so here's the script. Go read it. And then she came back and she's like, so how much gore do you want?
Yes.
And I'm like, I can't have any.
Oh, you can't.
No, because the characters change so quickly.
Right.
We've contemplated doing some blood on hands
Right.
and stuff, but it's so hard because it's
And it
so
stains.
Yeah.
So I kind of this has actually been really unusual for me to just kind of let someone else do makeup, because that's how I got involved with the theater. Is I started off in this theater doing makeup design backstage, and then I've slowly filtered and done something else, but this is the first time I've been involved with the play and not designed makeup. Second time, because I didn't do it with Cinderella.
You
That's so
helped
cool.
us, though.
I helped with hair, not
You did my makeup.
I don't know.
You did my
I have
makeup.
a
You're so
You made me a very, very
multi-talented,
pretty
girl.
woman that night.
Yeah, I
Wow.
take after my dad on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your dad a makeup artist?
Actually, the first play that I was in, my dad did my makeup for it. Yeah, I was in A Christmas Carol. When I was,
I see it
What an
here.
appropriate play.
and he put a fake mustache on me. Yeah. So
That's cute. You get a lot of your art. From
yeah,
from him.
my dad's also a builder, and I definitely take after that. I build things like I have my first and second year carpentry papers in
Wow.
construction, so I've built a house before.
Nice.
I don't know how to sit still.
She's not joking.
I know. I get her in a way. Can we, without giving too much away, can we show like how the set itself functions? Like it's you can actually play. It's
Which one do you want me to open? Pick one.
The funnest
You can
one.
have one.
the funnest
You
one.
can have
Um,
just the
You
funnest
get to
one.
pick
There's
one, Kelsey.
all of
Well,
them.
The
I would say
funnest one
this
is-
one because of the mechanisms.
And then I don't have to get the fireplace out.
That one's fun too, but this one has other aspects.
Okay, well, the chair's missing. There's a mess.
Well, the chair is.
I
Yeah.
can move it.
Oh no, it goes in it.
Oh.
Yeah, just the mechanisms of how this opens.
Okay.
Where's
Where's my drink? So, do you want to tell me where you got all this stuff, like props and all that?
Downstairs.
Okay.
The
basement.
is very well stocked.
Yeah.
But it's so smart.
So it's very transformative, and it doesn't. This isn't just the only way it transforms in this one. And I don't know if I want to show that part, but I will.
I know. I know. Okay. Oh, you will. Oh, it's a secret bookcase. Ah! Oh my God!
I didn't know that.
Look at that.
So it becomes a whole different office.
This is when he's probably in a bad mood or something.
No,
Nope.
this is completely different character. Different character.
Okay.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
But yeah, you designed a set according to the character or the mood or the time of the story, and the lighting has a big.
Oh, I didn't do the lighting.
I mean, everything has a part though.
Wait, yeah. I'm switching spots.
What about sound? Who's doing sound?
Adam Lyons is doing my sound. Shane Tollefinson is doing my lights. Murray Hoffman built this monstrosity that I have. It will be when we move it.
No
Who
comments.
painted it?
My friend Kezia Poor, she designed the paintings and kind of how they would go, and then we spent a week painting the set together. She did the forest, the park scene over there, and she did her and I together painting the mural on the back. She did, it's a lot of brickwork.
I know. Did you use stencils at all, or just all by hand?
No,
Stencils.
no stencils. A tape measure, and that's about it. And tape.
There was lots of tape.
I think we went through like 6 rolls of tape.
Oh yeah, probably.
Lots of tape. Yeah.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
No tears.
Just blood.
Have I
Some
cried
laughter.
yet?
You bled here?
Have I cried
Oh,
yet?
there's been blood.
Why?
No, I haven't cried yet. I asked my. I was looking
I'll
at my
answer that in a
husband.
second.
Have I cried yet?
Surprised
No,
you've
I
been
haven't
very
cried
calm
yet.
this whole time, actually, Tanis, throughout this entire
Yep.
process. Oh, sorry.
I know.
I'm sorry. I just want to say, Tanis has surprisingly been very calm throughout this whole process. Like, there has not been one director freak out or.
Bye.
Bye.
She
Nice
just.
knowing you.
She just kind of locks herself up in the pod and then doesn't talk to anybody for a while. That is, that's better than ragey screamy.
Yeah, that's how she
There's
decompresses.
never been ragey screaming
No,
ever.
that's what. No,
We did shoot you. With
True.
Nerf guns.
True. There was some
only because we
shots
kept
fired.
apologizing. So
Or vulgar words would come out, and then we were shot.
yes, oh here.
So I wanted to follow up with Kelsey's question earlier about challenges and sort of ask everybody, what has sort of been your favorite moment of the experience so far, And what has been the most challenging moment for you so far through this whole process?
Well, the snacks are my favorite part.
I like it.
Troy's desserts.
Yeah, Troy brought a lot of really great desserts, and we'll probably continue to bring a
We
lot
hope.
of great desserts.
I have one in store for tomorrow. It's almost done.
Almost done.
Wait, is it the one you told me?
And then most challenging, I guess, just getting on, just trying to get my things together, trying to get the cues right, trying to make sure that I am where I'm supposed to be when I'm supposed to be there. Yeah,
That one's hard.
that was hard. Yeah.
Probably mine are the same because I really enjoy pushing myself in theater. I've been doing it a while, and I always like to learn something new and try a new challenge. So this is the first time I've ever had to do like different voices, I guess, on stage because I play 4 different characters, maybe even kind of 5 in total. And like I have an accent with one of them, and I speak kind of like a little girl with the Hyde that I'm doing, and then the other 2 have also different voices. And so I think the challenging thing has been to go back and forth and slip into the different characters, not just the voices, but I always have to take a minute, like a pause backstage, and I like have to envision a new thing and put myself in a new character. So
Yeah.
it's like at the beginning of a show, you can often just like think about something or get into like mentally prepare as it like there's different ways that actors get into the headspace
Right.
of playing a character, but having to do multiple characters on the stage in one show, it is something I've done before, but this is more than I've done, more characters than I think I've done before, and plus I've never done different voices for each one either. So that's been really challenging, but I think it's also my favorite thing to do because it is allowing me to grow and I push myself.
Nice.
So.
Before I talk about me, I am going to say that Troy's facial expressions when she is a medical student during the autopsy
Oh, yeah.
are fantastic. And I commented to you on that once when I was taking photos, but I saw it again last week. They're great. The audience is going to love it. So, for me, I was in Cinderella in the fall, and I really loved it. And so, for me, it's very flattering to be asked by TELUS to come on and use the skills that I had when I was working to work for the play and still be involved and it not be so much of my time devoted to one space.
Yeah.
I don't live at the theater, unlike some people sitting at the end of this row.
I don't live here. I have a house, I bet.
I think she lives here.
Just don't go there.
Favorite thing. Making a family out of all the cast and crew.
Aw, you big suck.
2 seconds. No quick tears. Yeah, that's actually my favorite part. I get to work with my daughter again. Chloe is one of our stagehands. Ooh,
Deep breath.
Oh, I'm gonna try too. Yeah.
I was good. Then I did that. That was stupid. The most challenging thing is I'm a newer actor. I had 1 line in Cinderella. 1 line.
So this is a bit of an upgrade.
Just a little bit. I've been pushed, and in the last week I was asked something and I went, I have no idea how to do that. And then somehow I figured out how to do it. So I like the fact that I've been challenged to actually get in touch with some of what I already am, because Elizabeth is a lot of me. The way I've been asked to act or certain aspects that were put into it is a lot of how I see myself. And then there's been aspects where a certain scene I was asked to be scared but flirty. And then I sat there going, how am I supposed to do that? And there was the way you were talking about like backstage, like getting into a proper mindset, and I was able to find online a way to do that. And then I tried it and it kind of worked. So like it's been really challenging learning a lot of new wording, stuff that I didn't know before, because I had 1 line in Cinderella.
Yeah.
The last time I acted, I was 13, I think. So it's been a lot of different things to learn, how to carry yourself on stage, how to even just like the ways to listen to your director and how what they're saying, where sometimes I would listen from one, because we have our assistant director and our director, and I might not understand what one's saying, but the other one might be able to change the wording, and I'll be like, oh, okay, I get that now. Where sometimes I'm like, I got nothing, so I went home and I studied and figured it out. So yeah.
I think my favorite part of the process has been like the dedication from the actors that have been on stage and been working with them, because I give them something, and just like Taryn said, like I give you something and I know it doesn't make any sense and then they come back and they surprise me, and like I just throw suggestions out. Chris says like we throw them, it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks, and stuff, and it's been really good, and like just seeing their dedication to the process, to help basically take a vision, I said it before, taking a vision in my head and then putting it on the stage so that I can see it, and they've pretty much nailed the vision of like the movie that plays in my head when I read the script. Like they've definitely nailed it, which is really good. As far as challenges, I'm very much a person that like just like day. I try not to think ahead, although my husband might disagree with me. But I think our biggest challenge is actually coming up, which will be going to festival, where we have to pack this up and
Oh my God, yeah.
take it with us and then set it up in 4 hours and then perform it
Do the
in
whole
a
thing.
day. Yeah.
How much thought went into the festival trip when you were designing the set? Because that's a big process.
Actually a lot.
Yeah.
The pods specifically is what I was just like, if we go to festival, these pods are completely, these 1, 2, 3, they're completely self-dependent. They stand on their own. They were built off-site, not on-site. So they can be picked up and moved. And then everything else is filler. I think the more challenging part is going to be lining up the mural lines when we go to a new place. That's more what I'm like, but it is all designed to come apart and go back together, and we've always had it in the brain that we may have to take this on the road, or we're going to take this on the road, because originally festival was going to be here, and then it wasn't going to be here, and then we were going to get a traveling adjudicator, and then we're not getting a traveling adjudicator, we're going to be in Kersley, and then back to traveling adjudicator, and then back to Kersley finally. So we're set, solid, we're going to Kersley for Zone Festival. It's the most challenging thing that I think I've probably thought of the most, and that might be when I have my breakdown. But
It's good to schedule those, know when one's coming.
You know exactly what date.
However, it's probably the one that I'm most excited for, because I'm super stoked to learn from the director and the adjudicator that will be there. That is probably like the part that I'm looking forward the most is working with the adjudicator. I've gone to festival before, but only as like the makeup artist. So I've never gone as an actor, but I've just sat there and watched them, and I'm like always so incredibly jealous of that process. And even though I'm not acting while I'm there, as a director, it's going to be I think it's going to be really great for that process. So festival is, I think, going to be our biggest challenge. I think, anyways, but maybe not.
Yeah, maybe it'll be a breeze. Who knows?
Yeah, I think a little bit of a challenge was trying to get my words to make sense to everyone, but Chris definitely helps with that, because I speak one language and he speaks the other one, and we divide and conquer.
We have a few minutes left. Is there anything funny or
Well, let's find out
anything important?
where
What?
people can get tickets and when the
Oh,
play
of course,
can be
that's the most
seen.
important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can get tickets at the open book. There is still tickets available for every night of the play, though they are getting low. Saturdays only have a few left. Fridays are kind of close. Everything is at least 70% sold every night, which is really amazing for a May play. You can also buy them online at the williamslakestudiothéatre.ca, and just click the buy tickets, and it will take you to the link to buy them. If they say that they're sold out online, though, please call the open book and see if they have any available tickets, because after a certain period we pull our tickets on online sales so we don't oversell by accident. And
What's the website called? Just one more time.
WilliamsLakeStudioTheater.ca or WL Theater.
WLS.
WLS Theater. I think Chris is gonna look it up.
Google it.
Chris is gonna look it up.
Yeah, Google it.
Just
Just Google Williams Lake Studio Theater.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. While Chris is looking it up, the director of the next play coming up is also sitting in front of us.
Oh,
And so I'm gonna give that to her.
let's
and then
preview the next show. Yeah.
Well, if you like Jekyll and Hyde, well, one of the reasons I auditioned for Jekyll and Hyde is because I'm kind of drawn to like gothic horror or that kind of stuff, like that genre. I really like it, and like the anti-hero sort of stuff. And so I'm going to be directing something in the similar vein in the fall, which is Sweeney Todd, the musical.
Oh, nice.
That's something to look for. Auditions are coming up in June. Rehearsals will start in August, and it'll be on the stage last week of November, first 2 weeks of December. So,
Chris, you got it?
Yeah, it's WLStudioTheater.ca.
okay, so the website for tickets for Jekyll and Hyde is WLStudioTheater.ca.
Cool. Thank you.
When does it?
Can I share something?
Absolutely.
Sure, give her shit, Noreen.
This is going back to the history of the novella. There's a couple of descriptions or information out there on how it was conceived. So the one is that it was conceived in a dream. Robert Louis Stevenson, they figure he probably had tuberculosis, although it's been suggested he might have had a rare pulmonary condition, but he was prone to hemorrhages, pulmonary hemorrhages, and so he was on bed rest so that he didn't die, and he apparently had a dream one night, a feverish dream, and then wrote the first draft in 3 days, and went downstairs, showed it to his wife and his stepson, and his wife objected to it because he hadn't played up the allegory. She said it was a fine story, but it could be so much more. So, according to his stepson, he threw the whole thing in the fire, went back upstairs, wrote...
That's a dude who does not deal with criticism. Wow. Wow.
Well, and there's no use trying to fix something if it's a piece of garbage, I guess.
Yes.
So it took him another 3 days to write it, apparently, and that's, sort of where the finished product came from. However, there is also a theory out there that the nightmare was induced by cocaine. Many authors of that era did use drugs, but cocaine had just been discovered medicinally for it constricts your blood vessels. So it is quite possible that a doctor had prescribed this to control the pulmonary bleeding that was happening. So that's one theory, that it was a cocaine fueled, and it is kind of crazy, maybe it was. The other was Stevenson had a friend, a Dr. Chantrell, who murdered his wife, and how he murdered his wife was by poisoning her with opium and put it in her cheese toast. Apparently it came out that he'd actually maybe offed a few other people with cheese toast. That was a signature recipe. So Stevenson went to the trial and was horrified that a man previously known to him as a kind and gentle, lovely person was capable of this sort of behavior. So
While also tarnishing the reputation of cheese toast.
Yeah.
Which is horrifying to think of.
if you're going to eat cheese toast, make it yourself.
Make it yourself. That's the
been
lesson we
learned.
learned.
He should have made a cheeses toast. I'm glad no one heard that.
All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Any final thoughts before we leave from anyone?
I want to say hello to your mommy or your daddies or your pets.
My friends don't even know I'm doing this.
Say hi to your...
Hi, Chloe.
Oh, say hi to your mom.
Hi to my baby sister, my baby brother, Shayna and Dalton. Anyone? Anyone?
You already said hi to your dad, apparently.
Yeah.
You guys made me.
All right. Well, goodbye.
Bye. See you at the show.
Exactly.
Yeah. Enjoy
Come
the
see the
show.
show.